Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping on here. We're going to give it a second as we let a couple other people join in here. I know it takes a minute to get inside. So glad that you made the effort to show up today. And today we're going to be talking about the surprising reasons that people fail to buy. Maybe if you want to drop in the chat, where are you from? You're here local, California. I'm near Sacramento, Placer County, California. But where are you from? I know we have people all over San Diego, Florida, Texas. I'm licensed in multiple states. I do a ton of business in Texas. A lot of people moving out of the area to Texas or buying investment properties. Tennessee, licensed in Tennessee as well. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you're here today. Okay, so today, really my goal is to make this conversation. So please, as you have questions, tap it in the chat, ask a question. I want to make sure that we are spending this time to give you the value that you spent the time here. So my goal is to never have you sign up for something that you're not getting value from. So I hope today when you get through this presentation, you're going to see that we're adding a ton of value in answering your questions. So most people think that the biggest challenge in buying a home is saving enough for the down payment or for getting, approved for a home loan. But really, the truth is that many people don't buy just because of one of the three things that we're going to talk about today. So, in this webinar, really, I'm just going to show you what it takes to purchase a property, but also what keeps millions from building wealth. That's really the question that we're going to be looking at today. In the world of this world is buy, 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 right? Everywhere you turn, it's like buy here, invest here, invest here. It's so hard to know what is the right path. And so the question really isn't how much can we borrow in a home loan to purchase real estate, but how much should you borrow and when is going to be the right time for you to make that move? We worry about credit worries or down payment myths or FOMO, fear of missing out. That really paralyzes us out of taking action. And that really costs us a lot of financial security. So I ask you today as we start this, what if you had a clear plan that walks you through the exact steps of buying a home so that you can start building in your wealth without confusion? And what if you understood that the trends, the patterns of a real estate investing are really things that can help you decide if it's a smart move and when you should start taking action? And we can help you see what that means and where to get that information. And what if we're able to give you tools and resources to be able to show you what it means to rent versus buying? We hear that all the time, right? Why would you, rent if you can buy? Well, there's a lot of factors that we have to consider, but how can we make that more clear for you? Let's take Sarah, for example. So 15 years ago, she bought a home, 300,000 with a 3% minimum down as a first-time home buyer, which is 3% of whatever the purchase price is, what a down payment when it's a percentage means. And today, that home is worth over 735,000. So investing in real estate when she bought at that time built her over $570,000 in equity. That's the power of smart home ownership. Just like compound interest, it's the same thing with real estate. That's why timing is so important. So again, my goal for you today is to be able to show you exactly all that information, to provide and share light in a clear, concise way that you can understand. And so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kristin Cooper, and I've been in the mortgage business for over 20 years, and I've helped thousands of families be able to achieve the goal of homeownership. Not just become a homeowner, but also maximize how do you protect that wealth? How do you build more wealth? So it goes beyond just here's a loan. I've seen the ups and downs being in the market as long as I have, and I know what it takes for you to have a successful home buying process and be able to protect those assets and be able to build worth long term. So I'm excited to be able to help you on that journey. Today, I'm really here just to help you make informed decisions and know what to look at. So, what we're going to focus on is asking the right questions. I think everything in life, no matter where we are, whether it's talking about real estate or buying a home or a personal relationship that we have or a marriage or our kids, it's really finding what's the right question that I should be asking in this moment. So that's what we're going to focus on. Really, we're going to be asking, what are you trying to accomplish with buying a home? Instead of just saying what's the rate or what's the value is going to do, really asking why. Let's start with the why. Why do I want to purchase real estate? What is the ultimate goal? And then how do we fit this into your budget? How are we going to be able to find more space that you can free up more money to be able to invest in something that's going to give you a great return on investment? And then most importantly, why now? Timing is everything. We're going to dive into why buying now could potentially be better than renting. Not for everybody. There's blanket statements, always the right time to buy. I'm not a believer in that. There's many times that I have talked with people that said, it's just not the right time. And some people are like, no, you need to buy now. And then we dive into it. It really isn't the right time for them. So when is the right time for you to be able to take on the responsibility of being able to purchase a home? We're also going to be looking at different tools that we can look at as far as affordability. We're going to be looking at debt planning. All of those things take into account your home buying plan as we move forward. So once you figure out, when do you need to start, what's the next best step? Now, I think that everybody's on a journey when you start this process, but everybody's on a different spot in their journey. And so really it's identifying, where are you at in this journey? And maybe type that in the chat. Where are you at in this journey? Have you thought about buying? Have you tried in the past? What's your stage right now? So let me tell you why I'm passionate about this specific webinar. I've done many, many webinars about every topic you can think of, but I really like to dial into specifics around what stops people, because I think that that's more important than the how, because it takes getting to that first step before you can get to the how. So I have a very passionate story that makes me extremely passionate about this topic. From a young age, I watched my family struggle with money and didn't, made life really, really hard. I didn't even realize how hard, until you get older and you start realizing what your parents had to deal with. And that really carried into my decisions, as I move forward. When you don't have a lot as a child and you have a lot of lack of certainty, that creates scarcity mindset. And that goes into not just your decisions when you're young, but that carries forward as you move into aging and adulting, that you still are coming from that place of the conditioning that you had as a child. There was very little security when I was young growing up, and it felt like every single year we've had to move. And we weren't in the military. It's common for a military family, but we weren't in the military, and it seemed like every single year, my mom would either have to move because we had to move out of the property, they were selling it, or had to move different area because we couldn't afford that rental anymore, whatever the reasoning was. And that often meant that we had to move schools. As a young kid, it's really important that you have that security. I wasn't able to make friends, and if I made a friend, then I would have to move, and it was not a very secure childhood, and that was really hard. And my mom was a single mom of 5 kids. I was the middle child. Shout out to you, middle kids. You know what I'm talking about. It creates a lot of responsibility when you're in that position. And you try not to complain, or be grateful that you have food on the table. But those memories, those positions really create how you feel about the decisions that you make in the future. And my mom, she did the best that she could. She was, still a superhero in my eyes. She had 5 kids that she was taking care of, but it didn't diminish what I walked away with from those circumstances. The fear, the uncertainty, not knowing if, I'd be able to make it, having the conversations around money and the fear around money growing up, that breeds into how it goes moving forward. But fast forward to today, she's retired. She bought her first house when I was in 6th or 7th grade. She used down payment assistance as a first time home buyer to get into the home. And we were finally able to stay in one location. I was able to make friends, and really be able to stay, at least in the tail end of it, have a little bit more security in that. My younger sisters had, a lot more security staying in that area. But I know this is possible for everybody because of how I grew up, seeing my mom where she is today. She's retired. The house is paid off free and clear so that she can afford to live in retirement. If you haven't looked into how much Social Security pays you when you retire, it's not enough to live, especially if you have rent or you have a mortgage payment. So a home isn't just a home for today, it's building for your future retirement. And if, we can do it, if she can do it and be in that position, then I know you can do it too. So really, I think it comes down to a point in our lives when we choose the path that we want. Really making that decision of, what do I want for my life? What do I want moving forward? And for me, that defining moment where I said, okay, this is my life right now, and I had found out that I was pregnant at 18, I had to make a decision. What did I want for my son's future? What did I want for my future? Although I had the childhood upbringing and I had the scarcity mindset and I grew up in a home where we moved all the time and we didn't have that security, what did I want for my future? And it's been a really, really long road trying to figure it out. I'm so thankful that I fell into the mortgage industry over 20 years ago at such a young age because it gave me the desire to figure it out. More importantly, not just for me, not for my future. I have 2 kids now, not for them, but for everybody that I come in contact with. Being able to figure out how do you get from a place of not having anything to a place of being able to build abundance and be able to build financial security and financial wealth. Because it coming from a place of how we're conditioned and being able to understand where that's coming from is going to be super, super powerful as we move forward. So as you can see here in my picture, I always like to show this. This is my kids, my babies. Actually here, I'm just realizing that you're not seeing my babies here. So these are my babies. And this is my why. Like I said, I got pregnant really young with my son. And this is him. He graduated last year from UCLA and now he is at UC Davis going to law school. And every single day that I went into work, terrified, not knowing what I was doing, I would literally, I'm dating myself here, I would open up a portfolio. It was a picture of my little baby and a little diploma. I wanted him to have the opportunity, and it'll make me emotional now because you see it here, but I wanted him to have the opportunity to be able to do what he wanted in his life. If he wanted to go to college or not, it was totally up to him. But I wanted him to be able to have that security and that foundation to be able to decide what he wanted to do. And he's so passionate about law, and just seeing him do that makes me just so proud to be in a position that I was able to do that for him. And then this is my daughter. She is at Boise State. She's in her second year. She's a sophomore going into nursing, and both of them are going into career paths of helping people. I think that they've had all of us in their lives doing that. And so they see what reward it is to be able to help people make a difference in their world. And I'm super proud of them. But I think that's why it's really important for you to get to a place of understanding what is it that I want and why do I want it? For me, it wasn't just owning a home. That's kind of a means to the end of creating security, be able to provide what I wanted for my family. So first getting very clear, why do I even want to purchase real estate? I think is one of the stumbling blocks that keeps people back from moving forward. And then of course we have a lot of the other pillars, which is, fear. I mean, drop in the chat, how many of you have fear around trying new things? I know for me, can you imagine being 19 when I had my son, no college education, trying to figure out how to raise him when I barely even I didn't even know how to raise myself at that point. It was terrifying. It was scared, but it was a decision. Am I going to keep this child and am I going to decide to give him a better life? Everything in life is really around making decisions. And the number one reason that people don't do things is, they really just don't know what's the fear that's kind of holding them back. They don't understand the conditioning. And it's really just about learning to trust yourself that you can handle the commitment that you're making and that you can handle the challenge that you're taking on. I was so young, I didn't even understand what that commitment meant. Luckily, I was able to, take a leap of faith and trust in, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, and, my ability to be able to figure it out. Because really, it's just like making investments, whether it's real estate or your finances or who you have in your life. Most home buyers feared buying initially. If you talk to, there's stats. If you talk to home buyers, they feared it. Even the ones that take it on, they didn't think that they were ready. But do we ever feel 100% ready? I definitely didn't feel ready to have my child when I was 19, but it turned out to be the best thing that I did in my life. He pushed me to raise my standards. He pushed me to become a better person. I tell him all the time, he saved my life. And I truly believe that because he made me have something that I needed to work towards. We rise to the level of our commitments. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. Not sure if you are. Love it, but that's what he says. He's like, we show up as our standards. And sometimes it takes us taking that leap of faith where we're now on that other side of it and we got to figure it out for us to raise our standards. Who can remember a time that you took a challenge and how you felt? When we conquer challenges, we feel amazing because growth comes from the challenges that we overcome. And the confidence comes from holding ourselves to a higher standard. So really it's about taking a leap of faith and trusting that we're going to rise to the occasion. And I love this picture because and I know we all heard this analogy of, the guy that ran the 4-minute mile. He did that in 1954. And do you know that today, since then, he was the first one that was able to run a mile in 4 minutes. And it took all of these years for the first person in 1954 to do it. And then guess how many people to date have now ran a 4-minute mile? Over 1,700 people. It took hundreds of years for that one person to be able to do it. And then as soon as he did it and people knew that it was possible, that the body can handle it, now other people can do it. Why is that? When we see that other people can do it, then we have faith and we believe that we can do it too. That's really why I'm here today. I think it takes a strong advocate, someone that's been through the experiences that I have, who came from nothing, who came from a family that didn't have anything, who got pregnant at 18, didn't have an education. I mean, anything that you can object, health issues, like all of those things are obstacles that I had to overcome. And despite having to overcome those obstacles, I feel that I'm more resilient and that I came out even further ahead. Because as humans, we're designed to rise to the challenge. I'm sure all of you have heard of the hero's journey. We go through that, and that's really what gives us passion, is taking on these challenges, and it's what makes us feel alive. We look at the statistics, over 90% of the first-time homebuyers felt really uncertain about the process. They were scared, they were terrified. But guess what? Over 85% reported that buying a home was the best financial decision that they ever made. 85%. Now, the other 15%, if I were to guess, were probably not the best type situations. But, taking action despite the fear led to growth, security, confidence, retirement, family opportunities. There's really a lot that we have to look at when we're looking at all the considerations that we have to take into account. Just took the first person to take that leap. And I know, when you look back in your house, maybe you're the first person that's looking into buying a home and didn't think it was possible. And guess what? Now it's going to be possible after that. My son was the first one on our side, on my side, get a college degree. And guess what? Everybody's following suit because they see that it's possible. So maybe you're that one person that's going to take them past the finish line so that they know that it's possible. That's the goal today. So how many of you have said, I'm going to wait for things to get better? You can drop it in the chat too, right? We say that often. We're like, things aren't, as great. Or we hear on the media what they're saying. We're like, we're just going to wait. We want to wait until things get better. It's typical, right? I can't tell you in my over 20 years how many times I've seen families wait for interest rates to drop, only to see that prices went up and now the opportunity slipped through their fingers. Some people could still afford to buy in the future and they wish they would have bought, but some people just now are priced out of the market, can't even take advantage of it. They were hoping for that perfect moment, and then it ended up being worse. Because 1% increase in rates on a $500,000 mortgage costs you over $300 more in a monthly payment. Just 1%. So if interest rates were going up 1%, now is going to cost you for that same exact home that you were looking at, it's going to cost you $300 more. And you say, yeah, but Kristin, rates are dropping. We know that in the next couple of years, rates are going to come down with inflation, which is what we all believe. But guess what? As interest rates come down, every 1% lower in rates, there's 3 to 5 million more buyers in the market. Guess what that does? If you have more buyers putting in offers on each property, that drives the price up because now you're negotiating, everybody's going up. So now that same home, while rates have dropped, saved you $300, it's going to cost you more. Because every, let's say, $50,000 that a price goes up, it's going to cost you more than that $300 a month. Not to mention, how much money did you spend in rent waiting? If you're paying $27.50 a month for rent, which is actually kind of low, at least in our area in California, and you wait a year, that's $33,000 that you wasted in rent that could have went towards that mortgage. Because it's supply and demand, right? Lower rates, higher prices every single time. And then when you're dealing with lower interest rates and you have more people offering, guess what? Now you're having to negotiate. A lot more risk for buyers because you're removing what's called contingencies, which are your protections that are in place. So it really takes away from the strategies that you have to make sure that you're protected too. So while you can lock in today's rates or today's price, you get the lower price today. That never changes. They can't come back and say, wait a minute, our home value went up 50,000. You have to come pay us more money. No, you got that home for today's price. And you have the higher rate today, which they're not terrible. I mean, we were over 8, we're back down. And then in a year or two, when interest rates come down, redo your mortgage. We give you a lower rate, a lower payment. You still got the price for the lower price. So that's how people are winning in this market when it comes to, I'm going to wait for rates. It costs you more money to wait for lower rates. Unless you're living rent free. Let's say you're living with family and you're saving and you're living rent free, might have a different conversation and we run that for you and let you know what that looks like. Or for the average person that's having to pay rent today, it will cost you more money. So we talk about, does it make sense to wait for rates? What's the other thing that you think that is one of the third pillar of what people are waiting on or deciding for? Timing, right? So today everyone's like, I'm going to wait for the perfect time. I'm going to time the market. I think that, after the changes in the government that, things are going to shift or it's going to go here, it's going to go there. I had a young couple that kept hesitating to buy. Happens all the time. And they're thinking that the prices were going to come down. And if any of you, right after COVID, everyone's like, I'm going to wait. Rates are going up. Prices are coming down. If rates are going up, prices are coming down. But they didn't take into account inventory. There wasn't enough homes on the market. So if you have really low inventory and huge supply of buyers that need to buy because we had really high birth rates, if you go back 33 years ago, there's so much facts that go into this. There are so many people that were born during that time that need housing that we just don't know have enough housing, and that's not going away anytime soon. So prices went up. So all the people that were on the fence saying, you know what, I'm going to wait until prices come down, because if rates are going up, prices have to come down. Didn't. Prices have gone up. You can see here, this is showing you an index of the home price values as well as what you're looking at for rent. Rent's gone up. Home prices have gone up. But like we just talked about, if you lock in a price today, you're locking in the terms of the mortgage today, right? So that 30-year, if you're getting a 30-year fixed rate, whatever your principal and interest payment, that doesn't change. You locked in your payment. Rent's going to continue to rise, and at some point it's going to even, and maybe rent go past it too, which is what's happened over the years. It's a way that you can create stability within your household and know what the finances are going to be. So you lock in buying a home, you lock in a payment while rent continues to go up, rates come down in the future, you redo your mortgage, you get a lower payment, and guess what? Your payment's probably lower than what it was to rent in the first place. Now you may have to make an investment for the few years in between of a little bit higher payment, because you can't invest into something without putting money into that investment. So you're going to have to pay more to invest into a home, but wait until you see the return on that investment. There's nothing else in this world that's going to give you a bigger return on investment than real estate. So when you're buying a home and locking in the price, you could redo the mortgage, but you can't redo rent, right? So we always want to look at the timing is important as far as, can I afford to purchase the home? But trying to time the market never wins. And here's a chart that I want to share with you too, that I think is really important. This here is showing you since 1941 what's happened with home prices, right? Because that's the other thing, is I'm going to wait until prices come down, or I'm going to, there's no way it can be sustained. So everything in life has patterns, whether it's real estate, whether it's personal item, no matter what, there's always patterns, right? We've all dated that person where you're like, he's going to change or she's going to change. Most of the time it doesn't, because it's a pattern, right? It's going to keep showing up. And that's why Vegas is really good on their odds, if you follow any of that, is because they follow the statistics and the patterns and the charts and the trends, and it always unravels. So it's just like home values, just like you're seeing in this chart. So if you're looking at this chart here, what would you bet on? The green is showing every single year that housing values went up. Red is showing the years that it went down. Now you'll notice something other than this little 1% here. This was during the crash that everybody's so terrified of, right? Everybody that has parents that are in that crash, or you were there, it was not beautiful. It was terrible. I am not going to lie. I was there. I went through it. But it also was monetary policy. It was also wrong, fraudulent loans. You could state what your income was. It wasn't verified. So people were buying homes that they shouldn't have. All of that's changed. We're now in a position to where we have to qualify you. We have to make sure that you have the income. We have to make sure that you're going to be able to make this mortgage payment. And in doing that, now is going to put you in a position to where you can afford this home. Also, there's now a lot more policies in place where they work with you. If you're having trouble with your mortgage, it doesn't automatically go into foreclosure, which means they take back your home. There's a lot more programs in place to be able to support the homeowner. So you'll see here that that was very small amount of time that there was any red, right? In all of these years. Yet we still want to think that the values are going to come down. So what would you bet on if you're looking at this? If you kept emotion out of it? It's better to buy when you're ready to buy rather than when you're waiting for the right time. Especially when you start looking at the data and the numbers and the charts that support it so that you can make an educated decision. So that you can help with the wealth gap. If you're looking at this chart here, you can see renters, that orange line, and you can see homeowners. This is showing you the gap between wealth and how the impact is mainly coming from homeownership, which shows you that wealth is built with owning a home. And the sooner that you own a home, the more that you're going to be able to build. The data shows that net worth is over 40 times greater than renters if you're a homeowner. This is why it's super critical that you take advantage of owning a home as soon as you're in a position that you can afford the home, because that is widening. And that's why we do these educations, to get more information out there so that you could start making that gap a lot shorter. And if we look at the different types of investments, a lot of people are like, I'm saving though. I am working on saving money. You can't save your way into wealth. Real estate, there's so many pillars that you're getting with real estate. It's not just that you're buying a home. You're paying down your principal balance, which is money in your bank. It's called equity. It's part of your money or forced savings in your home. You're also getting the appreciation, which is how much your home value goes up every year. That's your money. That's your savings. You sell the home, that's money in your pocket. There's tax benefits that you could potentially be getting, deductions, write-off, depending on if you're investing in real estate. There's so many different consideration that goes into building that net worth that you're looking at versus, if you're looking at saving. You can see here the housing portion of net worth, right? Huge, huge. Other investments, most people have over, I think it was the last stats, I think it was like 49% equity in their homes right now. That's strength in the economy. That shows the economy is not going to collapse. The reason that we had the collapse in 2008 is that people didn't have equity. They were strapped. They were overwater. They didn't have it. So people can sell their homes if they're in a hardship. People can pull cash out and consolidate debt. People can pull cash out and take their kids through college. A way different scenario than we had before. So I ask you, when you look at this, this is massive. What is it going to take you to decide that building security and wealth is more important than the fear and the insecurities and the uncertainty and the beliefs that you hold on to? Right? We talked about that. Like, I had so many insecurities. I had so much lack of security, and I still battle with it today. It's what we're conditioned with. Whenever I'm taking on a big challenge or something, it's a big leap of faith still, even though I know all of this. Every time that I'm purchasing a home, I go through it with you guys too. It's like, oh, I know it, and it's just programmed and conditioned. I understand it, but at some point, we have to sit back and say, when is enough enough, and when do I want to start taking control? So waiting to buy really just means you're missing out on the appreciation and the opportunity to build equity and build wealth. The longer that you wait, the bigger that gap becomes for you, for your family, for your future kids. No financial return. Just like you could see on here, I always like to show this. So this is what appreciation looks like, right? So we had talked about appreciation being how much does your home value go up over time, and how does that impact you? So when we're looking at this, you could see the appreciation go up. So what you're looking at here is, a lot of people, this is a 5.3. So Sacramento, Placer County, we're looking at an expected appreciation of 5.3% based on the smart people that decide that, right? So that means your home value will go up based on their forecast, 5.3% each year, which is what you're looking at here in this line. And it shows you if you were to buy a home at 500,000, where you're going to be in 10 years. This is why we build so much equity in housing. But even if you said, you know what, I want to be that critic, Kristin, if you look at all of the history of appreciation, it's never been below 3%. So I put this line in here to show you, okay, what if it's only 3%? Look at that, 3%. You could see there, look how much you still build in home appreciation. And again, appreciation, that's your money. If you bought it for 5 and you now owe 400 and you sell it for 671, that's your money, that's your net worth, that's your equity. So we say, well, I'm just not sure. I just, I want to wait. I just want to see where we're at. I understand the appreciation, but I could wait a couple years. You could wait a couple years, but what is that going to cost you? For someone that's paying 27.50 for rent in 5 years with just a normal 5% rent appreciation going up every year, look how much you paid your landlord's mortgage. Mind you, I have investment properties, so I love my renters, but that doesn't build wealth for you. $182,000 that could have been built towards your home. No return, no positive comes from that. Versus investing into a real estate, investing into your home, this amount here, this is, saying that in this scenario, they, paid down their mortgage almost $30,000 in 5 years. That's their equity. This doesn't even take into account the home appreciation. That's on top of it. So even if the home didn't appreciate, you still have 30,000 that has a return, not to mention maybe any tax benefits or anything else that you have. Versus rent, you would have paid a lot, right? And then we look at 15 years. I mean, that's massive when you look at the 15 years that, can make you sick. Just seeing where, depending on where you're at, how long it's been, where it could be. And then we say, okay, well, a couple years. Well, look at 2 years. In 2 years, how much you paid for rent versus how much you could have paid down in your loan, not even considering appreciation and your net worth. Every year matters. And I know it's really hard when it's not something that's tangible that you're looking at, right? Because you're like, I'll get to it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But I promise you, when you buy and you really start getting more around this and you see this and you look back, you will wish that you would have done it sooner. And I know it's hard and we don't want to look backwards and reflect on it, but it is a position where you start realizing, okay, I need to make sure I take control of what I'm doing moving forward. So really the next steps, I mean, we look at it and say those are the biggest things, right? It's going to be we're fear is holding us back, timing the market, and rates. Those are really the things that are holding us back of starting the process. Because even if you're not in a position to buy and you're like, I need to, save more money, I need more income, we do that with you. We create the plan for you. It's just starting your home buying plan, even if it takes you a year or two. We start with, reaching out, booking a call with me. Let's talk through where you're at. What's your goals? What's your plan? Here's where you're at. Here's what we need to do moving forward. It's never a no. It's just here's the things that we need to work on so that you can buy a home as quickly as possible and start putting that money in the bank for you, which is what's most important to start building wealth. We're going to look at your budget. We're really going to dial it in. What can you afford? We want to make sure that whatever you buy is something that you're going to be able to sustain. So we look at everything and say, okay, here's what it takes. Here's your income. Here's what you qualify for. And we look at your budget ranges. When we look at everything, we're going to be talking through your income, your debts, your assets, your credit. Where are you at? What do we need to do to get there? A lot of people think that, oh, I can't buy. I have a low credit score. Did you know we can actually do a 550 credit score? Or I don't have any, I don't have very much money saved. Did you know you can buy, like my mom, using down payment assistance to get into a home and come out of pocket with little money, potentially nothing, depending on the market, if we can get a seller to credit? There's a lot of different strategies and programs that we have in place that we can look at to help get you into a position to be able to qualify and move forward. So really we're looking at, what is it that you want? The choices that you make today, again, are not just for you. They're for your future. They're for your family. They're for your legacy. So I ask you, do you want to keep building someone else's wealth, or is it time to start building your own? To really dive in and start looking at what do I want? Where do I want to be? And you're going to have those thoughts. They're going to come. And like I said, mine still come where it's like, I can't do it. I'm not ready. I'm not in a position. And all of those are normal thoughts. We all have them. Reach out for support so we can talk you through what's the next step and where are you, which is going to break down some of those thoughts. And now you're going to go to the next step and really get you to the next spot so that we can look and explore what options do you have and start having the conversations of how to get you there, really just creating a plan. We guide you through the process. The truth is, life is really about growth. If you're not growing, you're stagnant. If you're stagnant, you're dead, right? Homeownership is one of the most powerful ways to secure your future. You build stability, create the life you want. It's your terms, your freedom. Don't wait for the perfect time. You got to create it. Think about all of the things that you have in your life. You created those. You took action. Really taking the first step is just reaching out. Let's have a call. Let's explore where you're at. Honor yourself for this commitment and trust that you're going to rise to the occasion, just like you have in other challenges of your life. It all just starts with reaching out and booking a call. There's no no hassle. I'm not going to call you every day and say you need to do it now. I'm not going to talk you into something that you shouldn't do. I've been in this business and built on reputation for over 20 years because we do the right thing. If you're in a position that you're not ready, I'm going to say, here's what I think. Here's where you're at. Here's what we need to build on. Here's what we need to work towards. So you can scan this QR code. You can go to this link here. Schedule just a quick 15-minute call. No obligation. Doesn't cost you anything out of pocket up front. It's just a commitment to yourself today so that you can start building your future. And if you want to sign up for my newsletter, you can scan this code here. I'm going to be sending it out to you as well. Kind of see that it went over here, the little thing. So book a call by scanning this one, quick consultation. Or if you're not ready, that's fine. Scan this, get my newsletter. I give you different tips, strategies, education. Follow me on social. See if I can move my picture here so I'm out of the way. I'm videos, information, graphics, all the information. Follow me on social and you'll start getting that information too so that you can become more aware. It's supposed to be exciting. You know, it's one of those things where this can build and change your life forever. When I go back and I look at the picture, I'm going to go back here to my kids. I will tell you, this is my purpose. You know, we all struggle to find our purpose. This was my purpose. This is really what I believe, that what's yours? What is it you want? What do you want to work towards? What do you want to leave? What's your legacy? The quicker that you can create that why, the stronger it's going to be for you to start working towards the goal of being able to create that for your future. I would love that opportunity to be able to do that with you. I think working with the right team, the right knowledge, the right experience, it's really important who you work with. And I want to be able to help guide you on the right path and be there for you. Even after you're purchasing, it's a long-term relationship. I'm there to help support you, build wealth, protect your assets. Love the opportunity to talk to you more. So again, reach out and book a call. Let's just have a quick conversation. And if you know anyone else that's in a position where they're wanting to purchase real estate, even if they're not a first-time home buyer, I'd love the opportunity to be able to talk with them. So honor yourself today for taking the time to be on this call. I am so proud of you. It is the first step for you getting more information to be able to take control of your future. And every decision we make leads to the next. And I think that everything moves in the time that it should. So if you're feeling pulled, if you feel that feeling in you right now, like, yes, Kristin, I want to start this process, take the action now, not I'll do it later. I will tell you, later doesn't come. We get bogged down. We're in a world of just distractions. Book the call. And if you have any questions, always reach out. Again, I appreciate you being here today. And I look forward to hopefully guiding you or your friends or family, if you know anyone that's in that position, to make good decisions and to be able to build wealth in your future.